Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Those Were the Days. I'm Mike with Mike W Productions. You may or may not know this. If you don't, go ahead and click, I believe it's right up here for you. That'll send you back to the first episode on the playlist. Maybe just the playlist. I'm not sure. I haven't clicked that in a long time. So it'll send you probably to the playlist. So you can start watching from season 1. The idea of the show is not to give you guys the complete episodes. That was never the point, because this is YouTube and that would be copyright infringement, and I don't want to get sued. So with that being said, yeah, you're not going to get the whole episode on this one. I do appreciate anyone who sticks around from this point on. I do have a lot of regulars who do stick around. If you do like this episode and this review, go ahead and hit that little subscribe button when you feel it's appropriate. And today we're not doing really a watch and react portion. We're going to talk about the episode, and I'm going to show you guys some clips. So instead of, doing the traditional, okay, yeah, right. Some people have been saying that's kind of boring and stop talking. So since I can't stop talking and show more of the show, I'm going to have to start talking more and show less of the show.
He's doing that, reversed it. That's a first.
See how that works. So either, let me know down in the description, do you like the, okay, and stuff like that, the reaction part of it, with more of the show, or do you like this where I tell you about the show and show you less clips? I think I know which one we're going to get, but I might be surprised. I might even do a little poll in the community tab later on. Might not, but I'm thinking maybe, we'll see. So again, you're not getting the full episode. This is not what this channel is about. It's about you guys being able to watch the show with me, but sometimes I do this where I kind of cut out the show watching and I just tell you about it, and there's not a whole lot of like character building or anything in this. It's Mike centric. So Mike Stivic is the husband to Gloria, one of the characters. He is a main character, but this one isn't really Archie centric either. So it's more focused on Michael. But the story is kind of basic, where I don't have to really show you and react to it, because there's really not a whole lot to react to. So with that being said, let's jump in. Here we go.
Those were the days.
So we start off the day with actually a dinner scene. Everyone is at the dinner. Usually we are in the living room, or somebody's in the living room to open us up, or they are all having breakfast at some point, but today we get dinner. It's not consequential, but it's kind of interesting. We have, a little conversation about something that happens, we always do, that has really nothing to do with the storylines, just adding character and a little flavor to the episode. Invited Lionel and the Lorenzos over for family game night.
Table, because Lionel and the Lorenzos will be here soon.
Archie automatically doesn't like this idea because he doesn't like people at his house.
Archie, you want to play? Nah.
He then gets into a little conversation with Michael about the game itself. The game itself is called Group Therapy.
It's a new game. It's called Group Therapy.
So Group Therapy is basically a game where you get little cards, and these cards have either tasks or something for you to say or do with the group.
It's a very simple game. You pick a card. When it comes your turn, you read it, and then you do what it says.
And so it's an okay game, but it's not something that would be, up Archie's alley. So Archie decides to go to the bar.
I'll give you my interpretation of a guy going down to Kelsey's for a couple of beers. Tidoo.
Michael tries to convince him, unconvincingly, of course, to stick around, and it's kind of odd because usually Michael's happy when Archie decides to kick off. So it's a little bit odd, but I know that this is going to have a full resolution by the end of the story. Even watching it, you kind of know, oh, okay, there's going to be something about Archie and Michael. So moving on from that, the Lorenzos, finally show up. Lionel finally comes to the door as well. Asks him about, something that he's seen on a magazine, basically asking him what it's like to be black this week.
And Lionel, by the way, I got to tell you about this article I read in Harper's.
Something like that. It's kind of annoying. He tells him that he was reading a magazine about the black experience.
It's all about urban tensions, covers the whole black problem.
Oh, really? I always thought it was a white problem.
And we move on to Mike explaining the game.
Feel that somebody's being honest, you see, then you vote with it. And if you feel that they're not telling the truth, then you vote cop-outs.
They start playing the game. Frank gets a question that his wife thinks is a cop-out, which is...
Discuss the part of your body you are most proud of.
Something about the body part, his favorite body part.
The part of my body I am most proud of is my nose.
He says that it's his nose. He goes into a little bit too much detail for me on why his nose is his best body part, and she calls him out on it, saying that it's his skin.
Now, Irene, if it's not his nose he loves the most, what is it?
It's his body. Well, actually, it's his skin.
So we're getting into it a little bit already. This game is not necessarily confrontational, but it can be. It's now Lionel's turn, and his question is...
Choose a member of the group. Now, standing back to back and pushing each other, tell him why it is hard for you to be direct with him.
He picks Mike.
It's too bad, Lionel. Archie's not here. You'll have to pass.
No, I choose you.
It's hard to be direct with him because he always makes it about race.
I don't want to knock you off balance.
Well, would you push harder if I was white?
And he's always asking about the black experience and about what it's like today being a black man.
Well, I mean, you're always bending over backwards for me, Mike. I can't even get into a good argument with you. You're so quick to agree with me.
In New York and all this, you've seen the questions that he gives him during the show. It gets kind of annoying to Lionel, so he calls him out on it.
Yeah, man, just once, I'd like for you to talk to me like I was Lionel Jefferson and not a representative of the whole black race.
They have, a little bit of back and forth. Michael doesn't like that he got picked.
Come on, Lionel, I don't do that. Sure, man.
But that is the name of the game. It is group therapy after all. So Mike votes cop out on that, and now it is Gloria's turn. She gets...
Pick the person closest in the group to you and tell them something you think will help them.
She decides to go to Edith.
Ma, I don't want to embarrass you.
Michael decides to get a little, annoyed by this.
Gloria, what are you doing?
Because it's he's taking it physically.
Talking to Ma.
I know, you should be talking to me.
Or that I am your husband, I am the person who is not only physically closest to you, but saying that I am your husband, I am the person who is emotionally closest to you as well.
Why?
The card said pick the person closest in the group to you. That's me, your husband.
Gloria doesn't see it that way.
Michael, don't be silly. You're both very close to me.
Gloria, you're missing the point.
Decides to go with Michael's choice and say,
Michael, I think the dresses you've been wearing make you look older.
So she decided to play a joke on Michael because he's being a little bit of a butt, and she turns it on him, which I find was pretty funny. So now it's Mike's turn, and the card says,
stand up and tell the group what makes you mature.
So this is, gonna be fun. So basically he says that I am tolerant of others.
I'm open-minded. I'm tolerant of the other guy's opinions.
And Gloria scoffs at this. It's because he's not very tolerant of anybody. And so Gloria continues to berate him about, oh, you're not tolerant of Archie.
Tolerant of the other guy's opinion. I'm just thinking about you and Daddy.
He comes back with, well, that's Archie. You can't be really tolerant of him because he's not tolerant of anybody as well.
Gloria, how do you expect me to be tolerant of Archie? The man is a walking monument to intolerance.
They make some good points back and forth, and they decide to move on with the game. All right, now it's Irene's turn. Irene Lorenzo. So this character is pretty funny. She's always good with a good quip. Her question is not really a question. It's more of a to-do thing. So her card says,
Sit on the lap of the person here who makes you the most nervous and tell him why.
so she decides to get up. She sits on Michael's lap. And the card also says to explain to them why they make you nervous. So when she does, she explains,
Mike, look, you know how much we like you, but you are making me very tense because you're getting so uptight about this game.
you're being a bit uptight and it's making me nervous. Of course, Mike takes this with a big grain of salt.
How can you say that, Irene? I'm not uptight. I vote cop out.
No, he doesn't. He gets very upset about this and thinks that, oh, you guys are picking on me now.
How can you people say I'm uptight? Do I look uptight? I'm not uptight.
Which, yes and no, but he did start off by, inserting himself into Gloria's question with the mom, trying to control the game, and it gets worse from here. Mike, of course, votes cop out on this one as well, and the group says, no, it's good, so, Irene gets the points. So it's now Edith's turn.
Here, Ma.
She has to tell...
Say something to someone which you have never said before, but which you would like to say.
Picks Mike, of course, and says she doesn't like how he's been kind of stuck up lately.
Mike, I don't like the way you've been acting so stuck up lately.
Which again makes Mike kind of upset because, well, he doesn't like being called uptight and or anything negative towards him because he thinks that he can do no wrong.
What?
Edith also thinks that it is mean of him to make fun of Archie.
Well, I think it's mean to make fun of Archie and call him names the way you do.
Because Archie's not as educated, he's not as proficient in debate, he doesn't have as much education as Michael, and this upsets Michael.
You're saying that to me? Me?
Well, you're right, Mike. You sure can take it.
Because he should be fair game to him, apparently, I guess.
Ma, you know all the dumb, stupid things Archie says. How do you expect me to take the man seriously?
That's at least one of his excuses of why he should pick on Archie, because Archie picks on him. But everyone agrees with him and starts putting in their 2 cents.
Can't you believe the fact that she is right?
And Michael gets tired and...
Fine! I don't want to play anymore!
So, yes, this was not the game for him, but I do have a theory that we will talk about at the end of the episode. So Michael, being upstairs, has a little pity party with Gloria.
You're the one that started this whole thing. You're the one that wanted to play the game.
She's trying to get him to calm down and stop being such an idiot. But he's up there complaining, everyone's picking on me.
Gloria, they weren't playing that game. They were playing Get Mike Stivic, and you were one of the worst offenders.
And so, yeah, you're kind of getting picked on, but because you started off picking on other people, it's kind of fair. And you're not being as picked on as you think because it is a part of the game that you picked. So yes, they start to have a conversation about everything that's going on.
Me?
Yes, you. Pick the one that's closest to you. Pick your mother, not me.
He still doesn't agree, but he just wants to be done with the thing. He's just kind of giving up. And of course, he comes downstairs still pouting.
Mike, I'm so glad you came back down and
He apologizes,
I realize that I behaved stupidly. I should have been adult enough to take the criticism.
but kind of backpedals on his apology.
So you picked on me a little. I mean, hey.
He makes it where he says he's sorry he did things, but you guys were kind of doing stuff too. And so he was backpedaling on most of what he was saying.
Did I say picked? I didn't mean that. What I meant was maybe some of the things you said were a little uncalled for.
He starts to get offensive when Lionel starts to call him out.
Well, no. If they were uncalled for, I wouldn't have said them.
Lionel, why are you jumping on every word I say?
And sprinkle in a little bit of other people agreeing with Lionel.
Haven't you learned anything?
Gloria, I tried to apologize, didn't I?
He also calls out Lionel, asking him to say something he's been holding back.
Lionel, I want to see you say something to somebody here that you've never said before but you'd like to say.
Oh, come
Lionel picks Edith, not Michael.
Ms. Bunker, I have something I'd like to say to you.
all right, Lionel.
Lionel goes on to tell Edith that
When we first moved here, I was kind of scared. My whole family was scared. But because of the way you made us feel welcome, we knew that no matter what, we had one good friend in this neighborhood.
Michael starts to say, well, that's not the point of the game.
That's it? You don't have anything more you want to say to her?
No.
Well, what about the criticism?
Not to be, positive. The whole point of the game is to be negative, to criticize. So he thought that that little, nicety of Lionel was kind of a cop-out because the game in and of itself is supposed to be about your getting out your negative feelings about people. So there's a little bit of a, this is why he wanted to have Archie there.
But criticism is the whole point of this game. There's no fun without it.
So then Mike goes on, Frank kind of interrupts and,
Yeah, and so far you've been a barrel of fun.
disagrees with Mike. Mike decides to pick on Frank
Don't start with me, Frank. I'm the only one who's opened up here tonight.
and tell him to say something about his wife.
Nothing you want to say to anybody, not even to your wife?
Frank makes an albeit funny joke, a little bit sexual, but an albeit funny joke.
Aha, my sex life. You bet I have. I'm glad you brought it up. Irene, thank you.
Thank her for, being his wife, let's just say. This makes Mike upset because, again, that's not the point of the game.
Ridiculous. I don't even know why I bothered to come down here.
So, Gloria jumps on Mike. Mike and Gloria fight a little bit.
I am the only one who has played this game honest tonight.
A little bit of back and forth, of course.
Michael, right now you sound worse than Daddy ever sounded.
Gloria makes some points. Edith jumps in and makes some points.
I don't think you yell at Archie because of Archie. I think you yell at him because of you.
Even Lionel jumps in and makes some points.
That's another problem with you, man. You never let anybody talk.
And now we are jumping on Mike. So the thing that he thought that was happening before is actually happening now because he's escalated the situation to where that is actually going to happen to him. So Mike gets sarcastic.
Oh, thank you, Lionel. Thank you, fine. Is that...
And Edith tells a story.
I remember a story.
Of course, Mike doesn't want to hear the story.
what has this got to do with anything?
This starts a fight with the Lorenzos
Let him talk.
Stay out of this.
Don't you tell me to stay out of this.
because they're talking about Mike, but one of the Lorenzos says that this isn't, that they need to stay out of it, blah blah blah, and that gives them a little bit of a fight all at the same time that all of this other stuff is going on.
If I had a son like that.
Not a son like that.
Yeah, and whose fault is it that they behave like him?
Edith finally gets out the story that she was telling.
This man saved another man's life, and the man who was saved, instead of being thankful, got madder and madder.
Mike assumes that the story is that he is mad at Archie because he owes him money.
What you're trying to say is that I resent Archie because I owe him so much. Well,
Edith finishes the story. Finally finishes the story. Edith helps Mike understand Archie, which is
Archie yells at you because he's jealous of
Oh,
you.
I don't want to listen to...
Archie is jealous of Mike and his opportunity to go to college because Archie never had the opportunity to go to college.
You're going to college and you got your whole life ahead of you. Archie had to quit school to support his family.
And so he had to get a job at a very young age and couldn't afford the opportunity to go to college and better himself in education. So he's jealous of Mike.
That's why Archie's jealous of you. He sees in you all the things that he could never be.
And Mike didn't understand that until now. Archie comes home, says, "Get away from me, meathead," which was a point of the show at the beginning.
Keep away from me, meathead.
That Michael made was that he always comes in and says, "Get away from me, meathead." That's like the first thing that he says to him. But in his own way, that might be, like a hello to him. Or it just might be a "get away from me, meathead." You never know with Archie. But Mike realizes that he was wrong, that Archie is jealous of him because he can better himself, and Archie is way too old to really change all that much. Even though he does over time, but it's still, in the educational field, it's really hard for him to change. So Mike gives Archie a hug.
I understand.
Shocking Archie and confusing the heck out of him, and that is where we end the show. So, let's talk about it. Alright guys, so that was All in the Family. I hope you guys liked that little bit of a different storytelling mode instead of watch and react. Let me know down in the comments below. While you're down there, go ahead and give this video a like and hit that little subscribe button if you haven't already, but only if you like this episode. So this episode was a little Mike-centric, as I had said before. We have a big focus on Mike the Meathead, as I like to call him. Archie decided to kick off and go to the bar because he wanted nothing to do with this woke game. So the game is, yes, a little bit woke. It's about talking about your feelings, but it's also about being mean to each other for no reason, according to Mike himself. So yeah, it sucks. So basically, Mike has this issue where he wants to play the game. He wants Archie to play the game, and he gets a little bit frustrated when Archie decides to get out. The issue there is that the whole game wasn't really for a fun time. It was to basically belittle, berate, and insult Archie Bunker. But Archie didn't want to play that game literally, and gave himself the boot, went to the bar, and came back a lot later. Mike, having that mentality just kind of shows you what Mike is like, and so he learns a lesson over the course of the game. It's pretty interesting how he gets called out by everybody and doesn't realize that he is kind of bigoted, especially when it comes to Lionel. He's kind of a control freak, and I hope he learned the lessons that they were talking about. But of course, it's Michael the Meathead. He's not going to learn all of them. He's just going to learn to respect Archie a little bit more. So, was it a good episode? Yeah. Was it a fun episode? Sure. Was it worth doing a reaction to? There just wasn't a whole lot to react to. I did enjoy watching the episode, doing the points that I made. There were, things that we don't usually see, especially since Archie decided to leave. We don't get very many of those episodes where it's everyone else and Archie's not there. Usually Archie is in the mix in some way. We do get a bit of good character building on Mike. He does have some realizations, albeit bitter ones, on his behavior and the way that he acts, especially towards Archie, which I get it. Archie is not the teddy bear that a lot of people wish that he was, but neither is Mike. Mike is basically the opposite of Archie, and Edith and Gloria are kind of more in the middle, to be honest. So I get that, you are adversarial to your father-in-law. That kind of makes sense because that is a stereotypical dynamic between, son-in-law and father-in-law. So it's kind of interesting. They do mention that Michael feels this way because he regrets Archie because he has to borrow money from him or take free rent until he graduates college, which is the deal. So he owes him a bunch of money for rent and living expenses. So that can be hard, and Mike is right to kind of feel that way, but it's also he didn't understand that Archie feels belittled and bad because Mike is getting to better himself where Archie didn't get to better himself at that same age. He had to work instead of go to college and better himself educationally. He won't be able to go to college and better himself because he's just too old, and what's the point? He has a decent job. It's making them survive. He's able to afford, good amount of money for him and his family. He's able to provide. So Archie's kind of happy doing what he can, and so Mike actually has a little bit of an appreciation for Archie there at the end. So I think character building wise, this was really good for Michael. Everyone else had fun picking on Michael, and I don't really think they picked on him. I think that he kind of started it, and then they just kind of added on to it because he was being kind of obnoxious, and then they decided, hey, we're going to poke back at him, which I think is fine. So all in all, this episode was pretty fun. It's not your typical episode, so there's not like a formula to this one as much. Usually it's, we have our opening scene in the living room or at the breakfast table or in the kitchen, and then, somebody comes in, Edith tells a story about what's going on or some kind of story joke, and then we go on from that to whatever usually typically happens during that episode, and then there's a resolution at the end. This one, we didn't really get the story at the beginning. We kind of got it chopped up in the middle. Wasn't really a joke, it was more of an allegory. And so it was pretty interesting to see the change in tone and texture on this one. I think the next one we probably will go back to form, but I mean, that's what we like about the show, is Archie being Archie and Michael being Michael, and the two butting heads, and Gloria and Edith jumping in as well. So with that being said, I do want to thank you guys for getting this far in the video. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit that little subscribe button.
Just tap it in. Just tap it in. Give it a little tappy. Tap, tap, tap-a-roo.
And again, I do want to thank you guys for getting this far in the video, and we will see you next time. Peace.